Welcome back to our deep dive into keeping your brain young.
It is good to be back. And, looking over the material for today, this one feels, well, it feels less like a typical deep dive and more like a survival guide for the modern age.
It really does. I have to confess, when I first saw the title, Keeping Your Brain Young, my mind went to a very specific place.
Let me guess. Crossword puzzles.
Exactly. I was thinking, okay, we're going to talk about doing the Sunday crossword, maybe learning a new language on one of those fun apps, the kind of gentle lifestyle magazine advice we've all heard a million times.
And instead, you got a manifesto.
A manifesto is the perfect word for it. The source we're looking at today.
Mhm.
It is not about fun little tips. It actually calls itself a warrior's guide to stopping your brain from dying. And honestly, it's kind of intimidating. It's aggressive, doesn't pat you on the back. It feels like it grabs you by the shoulders.
It has to be aggressive because the alternative it presents is so stark.
Yeah.
The whole premise here isn't, that you might get a little forgetful or misplace your keys more often.
Right.
The core idea is that most of us are actively losing our brains day by day without even realizing it. And not from some unavoidable disease, but from what the source calls boring routines, phone scrolling, and our constant avoiding of discomfort.
That's the part that really hit me. The idea that we're making our brains older and weaker and slower just by being comfortable. The source says if you don't treat your brain like a muscle, something that needs to be torn down, be rebuilt, you just become a zombie.
It's a powerful image, isn't it? The zombie.
Yeah, you're awake, you're walking around, paying your bills, but you're not really alive.
And the argument is that we're basically sleepwalking into this state because we've engineered every bit of struggle out of our lives. So our mission today, I think, is to really break down the 16 specific habits the source gives us to stop that from happening.
And just a heads up to everyone listening, these are not cozy habits. The source calls them raw and real. Almost all of them are designed to make you feel uncomfortable.
But that's where the value is.
Exactly. The promise is that if you actually do these things, you'll think faster, you'll sleep better, and you'll stop feeling like life is just this blur passing you by.
So it's about shifting our whole mindset, moving away from seeking comfort, and actually starting to seek out struggle. Because the core message, and it's a brutal one, is that comfort kills the brain.
Okay, let's dive in. The first segment is all about the hardware, the physiology of discomfort. And we're going to start with something that sounds so simple I almost laughed when I first read it. The source calls it a mental weapon. Habit number 1, use your non-dominant hand.
It sounds like a party trick, doesn't it? Like something you do on a dare.
Totally.
But the mechanism it describes it's really fascinating. It's all rooted in neuroplasticity. The source asks you to think of your brain like a tree.
I loved this analogy. It makes the whole thing so much clearer. Can you break that down?
Well, think of a tree in a field. If the wind always, and I mean always, blows from the west, the tree will grow in a very specific, rigid way to resist that wind. The branches get strong in one direction, but there's no new growth anywhere else. Now, in our brains, using your dominant hand for everything, brushing your teeth, opening a door, using your phone, that's the wind always blowing from the same direction. The brain already built that pathway. It's a superhighway, so nothing new needs to grow.
It's just efficiency. And the brain loves being efficient, right, to save energy.
It loves efficiency more than anything. But efficiency is the absolute enemy of growth. So the moment you switch hands, let's say you, a right-handed person, pick up a fork with your left hand, what happens?
This utter chaos. I tried this. I tried it this morning with my coffee mug, and for a split second, my brain it short-circuited. It felt so deeply wrong.
Wrong is the exact feeling you're looking for, that feeling of wrongness, of awkwardness. That is literally the sound of your brain waking up from a nap.
It was so frustrating. I mean, I'm a functional adult. Why can't I lift a cup of coffee to my mouth without it feeling like a monumental task?
Because that frustration is the chemical signal for learning to begin. See, with your dominant hand, you're on autopilot. Your basal ganglia, the primitive part of your brain, is handling it. No conscious thought required.
Right.
But with the other hand, you force your prefrontal cortex, the CEO of your brain, to come online and micromanage every little movement. That frustration is your brain literally saying, hang on, this is new. I don't have a wire for this. We need to build one right now.
So the messiness is the medicine. Spilling a little food is actually a good sign.
Precisely. You're not just moving your hand awkwardly. You're engaging in what's called synaptic plasticity. You are forcing dormant neurons to fire and connect in new ways. The source is very clear that this kind of training builds cognitive reserve. It improves memory, it speeds up thinking, and it fights brain aging.
So the action item here is just do something annoying. Brush your teeth or eat a meal with the wrong hand. And just embrace the fact that you're gonna be bad at it.
Embrace the spill. It's the only way to get new branches to grow on that tree.
Okay, sticking with the physical, let's ramp up the intensity a lot. If the toothbrush was a little nudge, this next one is a full-on slap in the face. Habit 15, cold showers.
Ah, yes. Now, I know cold plunges are very trendy right now. Every biohacker and CEO seems to be doing them.
Right, but the source frames this very differently. It's not really about muscle recovery or inflammation. It's about waging war on the slow death of comfort.
The brutal truth, as the source puts it, is that things like warm blankets and soft chairs, they make our minds lazy. As a species, we have become obsessed with perfect temperature control.
Oh, I'm so guilty of this. I get annoyed if the thermostat is off by like 2 degrees.
We all are. We've conditioned ourselves to see any thermal discomfort as an urgent problem to be solved. The method here is to intentionally create that problem. Just switch the shower to ice cold for 30 seconds at the end.
What is that actually doing to the brain? Because physically, it feels like a genuine life or death emergency.
That feeling of emergency is the point. It's a controlled panic.
Mm.
Your body screams, no. Your chest tightens. You gasp for air. That is a massive, and I mean massive, spike of norepinephrine flooding your system.
It's a shock.
It's survival mode. And here's the key. Staying in that panic, not immediately jumping out, is what the source calls real activation. No amount of coffee, no notification on your phone can create that level of immediate, sharp focus.
You're right. Your breathing changes, your blood rushes to your core.
And your brain learns a profound lesson. We don't run from discomfort anymore.
That's a powerful idea. It's not just about handling the cold. It's about training your mind to handle stress.
Exactly. It's called top-down control. Your primitive bottom-up brain is screaming, get out, this is dangerous. But your executive top-down function says, no, we're staying. If you can master that panic in the shower, you're better equipped to handle panic in a stressful meeting or during a difficult conversation.
So if you can handle freezing water at 6 a.m., a passive-aggressive email at 10 a.m. doesn't seem so bad.
You've raised your entire baseline for what counts as stress. You become more resilient.
Okay, let's get to the third habit in this physical section. We've messed with our hands, we've frozen our skin, and now we're going after the stomach. Habit 13, intermittent fasting.
The source is very direct on this one. It basically says, when your stomach is full, your brain is slow, period.
The post-lunch food coma. We all know that feeling. You have a big meal and suddenly you can't form a coherent thought.
It's pure biology.
Yeah.
Digestion is an incredibly expensive process, energetically speaking. It takes a huge amount of blood and resources. So if your body is constantly processing food, 3 meals, snacks in between, your energy is always being diverted to your gut. Your brain is getting the leftovers.
Are we literally eating ourselves into a state of stupidity?
In a way, yeah. The protocol suggested here is pretty simple, a 12 to 14-hour fast. So you stop eating at, say, 8 p.m., and you don't eat again until 10 a.m. the next day. Just water or black coffee.
And beyond just feeling less sluggish, what's the deeper brain benefit here? Why is this in a brain rot manifesto?
It's about a specific protein called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. The source calls it miracle growth for the brain.
Like fertilizer for your neurons.
Exactly. When you fast, your body goes into a state of perceived scarcity. It thinks, uh-oh, resources are low. This triggers a release of BDNF. Your brain switches into what the source calls hunter mode.
Hunter mode!
Think about our ancestors. When did they need to be the sharpest, the most alert? Not when they were full and lounging by the fire.
When they were hungry and needed to find food.
Precisely. Evolution designed our brains to peak cognitively when our stomachs are empty, so we can solve the complex problem of finding our next meal. The source argues that we've lost touch with this state because we're constantly feeding our brain like a baby bird. We never let it get hungry and sharp.
That makes so much sense. We treat the slightest pang of hunger like an emergency we have to solve immediately. But really, hunger was the original nootropic.
It really was.
Yeah.
So discomfort in the hands, discomfort on the skin, and discomfort in the stomach, all designed to wake up the physical hardware of the brain.
Right. That's the foundation. But now we have to talk about the software, and maybe more importantly, the viruses we're willingly installing on that hardware every single day. This brings us to segment 2, escaping the dopamine trap.
And we have to start with habit 3. Stay away from screens.
The source does not pull any punches on this. It says flat out that our phones are making our brains stupid. Not just distracted stupid. That felt a little personal.
It's a harsh word, but think about the mechanism it describes. It compares scrolling through a social media feed to giving a hyperactive child a sugar packet every 3 seconds.
That is such a visceral, perfect image. Just rip, pour, repeat. A constant stream of empty calories for the mind.
And it has the same effect. The brain becomes frantic, unfocused, and ultimately weak. We are conditioning ourselves to expect a constant, low-effort reward. And the main symptom of this stupidity is the inability to just sit in silence.
Oh, I see this everywhere. You see it in line at the grocery store, waiting for an elevator, even at a red light that's going to last for 15 seconds.
It's an immediate panic. The source says most people can't sit alone with their thoughts for 5 minutes without grabbing their phone like it's a life raft.
It's like we're terrified of what we'll find if we're just alone in our own heads.
Because we've trained ourselves out of it. We never let our default mode network, the part of the brain responsible for daydreaming, reflection, and connecting ideas, to actually turn on. The proposed fix sounds so simple, but it feels impossible for a lot of people. Turn off all screens for 30 minutes a day.
Just 30 minutes. That sounds surprisingly manageable.
That sounds it. And do you realize what that means? No music, no podcasts, us, no TV on in the background, just you, sitting or walking or thinking, just being.
The silence is loud.
That loudness is the sound of your brain finally getting a chance to breathe, to process things. The source warns that if we don't do this, our attention spans will be permanently fractured. We'll have outsourced our own consciousness.
And this connects directly to habit 12, which is about the kind of stimulation we choose. It draws a line between strategy games and what it calls mindless games.
Right, because I think a lot of people justify their phone time by saying, oh, I'm not scrolling, I'm playing a brain game.
Yeah, I'm keeping my mind sharp.
But the source argues that most of those games, the candy tap or match 3 style games, are just dopamine slot machines. They give you the feeling of accomplishment without any real effort.
It's the sugar packets again.
It's exactly the sugar packets. You're training your brain to expect a reward for nothing. The solution is to play games that, and I'm quoting here, hurt your head.
Hurt your head. I like that. Like what? Chess, Sudoku.
Exactly. Complex strategy games, things that require deep focus and planning. I play chess, and hurt your head is the perfect description. It is mentally exhausting to try and calculate several moves ahead.
And it's frustrating when you lose. It's not always fun.
And that frustration is the sign that it's working. We keep coming back to this. If the game feels effortless and trance-like, it's probably rotting your brain. If it feels like mental weightlifting and you feel genuinely fatigued afterward, that's real growth. You should want to quit. Pushing through that feeling is the exercise.
Okay, so swap the mindless tapping for something that actually makes you sweat mentally. Now let's get outside. Habit 5. Walk alone in nature.
The central question here is a simple one. When was the last time you went for a walk without a phone, without a podcast, without music?
I honestly don't know if I can answer that.
Right.
We always have earbuds in. I feel this pressure to be productive. You know, if I'm walking, I should be learning something or catching up on the news.
And in doing so, we're never truly off. The brain is always processing external input. The source tells the story of a woman named Eliza who was dealing with panic attacks and constant brain fog.
Okay.
And her prescription wasn't medication. It was to take one walk every day in a park with no phone.
And what happened? Was it an instant cure?
No, and this is the important part. At first, she hated it. She said she felt intensely bored and anxious. Her brain was screaming for the distraction it was used to.
The withdrawal symptoms?
Exactly. But she kept doing it. And after about a week, she said something amazing. She said she met herself again. She started noticing the sounds of birds, the way the light hit the leaves. The source has this beautiful line, nature is the medicine the brain forgot.
Wow.
It works because nature provides what's called soft fascination. A tree or a cloud captures your attention gently without demanding it, which is the complete opposite of a phone notification that screams for your immediate focus. It lets the brain reset.
It's so interesting that the fix for her very modern problems of anxiety and brain fog was just removing the noise.
A lot of these habits are about strategic removal, not addition. Removing comfort, removing noise, removing constant food.
Which is a perfect transition to segment 3, the mental gym. We've dealt with physical discomfort and digital detox. Now it's about actively seeking out cognitive struggle.
And habit 2 is the perfect mission statement for this section. Do one hard thing every day.
The motto is, comfort kills. But what qualifies as hard? Is it running a marathon?
It can be, but it doesn't have to be. The source uses the story of a man named David. He's 44, and he felt old. He felt slow and unfocused. He told his doctor his brain felt broken.
And what did the doctor say?
The doctor's diagnosis was brutal. He said, David, your brain isn't broken. You just stopped doing hard things about 10 years ago.
Ouch, that's a tough pill to swallow. You're not sick, you're just soft.
But it's probably true for so many of us. We spend our adult lives optimizing for ease. We use GPS so we don't have to think about directions. We order food so we don't have to cook. David started small. He did the cold showers. And he started reading books he knew he would find dull.
Wait, why would you intentionally read a dull book? That sounds like torture.
To train the muscle of focus. To force his attention to stay put, even when it was screaming to wander off. The challenge here is to pick something that feels difficult for you. Maybe it's waking up 30 minutes earlier or practicing a language you're terrible at. And just do it.
It's the use it or lose it principle, but applied to willpower.
Exactly. And that flows right into habit 8. Do something new you're bad at.
This one is all about fighting the ego trap.
Yes. We love, as human beings, to do things we're good at. It makes us feel competent and smart. But the brain is completely bored by your competence.
The source says the brain grows most when you suck at something.
Bluntly, yes.
Yeah.
The goal is to be willing to look stupid on purpose. Go to a dance class and be the worst one there. Try to learn piano as an adult and sound like a child. Attempt public speaking, even if your voice shakes.
Look stupid on purpose. I love that phrase, but it is terrifying. Our whole social structure is built on avoiding that feeling.
And that terror is the green light. That's the sign you're in the right place for growth. When you fail at something, your brain releases a flood of neurochemicals like acetylcholine that basically flag those circuits for urgent remodeling.
So it's like a little error message that says, pay attention here, this needs work.
Exactly. But when you succeed easily, the brain just goes, great, this pathway works fine, no changes needed. Success just reinforces old patterns. Failure is what builds new ones.
So all those times I felt clumsy or incompetent trying something new, I was actually making my brain younger.
You were in the peak state for neuroplasticity. You were winning.
Okay, what about habit 6? Read challenging material. This feels related to the dull books, but it's more about our beliefs.
This is about intentionally breaking your own echo chamber. Most of us, consciously or not, only read articles and books that confirm what we already believe.
Of course. It feels good. It's comfortable. It makes you feel like, see, I was right all along.
And that feeling of comfort is the sound of your brain falling asleep. The solution is to actively seek out material that challenges you, that shakes your beliefs, that maybe even makes you angry.
The source tells a story about a man named Marcus.
Right. Marcus had a very rigid worldview. He believed all rich people were inherently evil. It was a core part of his identity. So he forced himself to read a book by a well-known philanthropist millionaire.
And did it completely change his mind?
Not entirely, no. He didn't suddenly become a hardcore capitalist, but the source says it woke up sleeping parts of his brain. The cognitive dissonance, the sheer mental effort of holding two opposing ideas in his head at once was the workout.
So it's not about changing your mind, it's about exercising it.
It's about making sure you can change your mind.
Yeah.
If you only read things you agree with, you're not thinking, you're just nodding along.
Okay, and the last one in this mental gym segment, habit 16, memorize a poem or song weekly.
This one is described as mental surgery.
It's so true that memory is a dying skill. I don't even know my best friend's phone number. I rely on my phone for everything.
The source calls the modern brain an empty library. We've become excellent at using the card catalog. We know how to Google anything, but the shelves inside our own heads are bare. We know where to find information, but we don't actually know it.
Ouch. That really hits home.
The fix is to perform this mental surgery. Take a poem, a Bible verse, a famous quote, and memorize it, word for word.
The precision matters, no paraphrasing.
No, the precision is the whole point.
Yeah.
It forces structure and deep focus. The source cites studies showing that people who engage in regular memorization have slower rates of cognitive decline and even better emotional regulation. You're literally building furniture for your mind to use.
You're furnishing the empty library. Okay, I'm going to have to start with something small, like a haiku, but I get it. It's about reclaiming your own internal hard drive.
Start small, but start.
All right, let's shift to segment 4, reclaiming focus and connection. This is about how we access information and generate new ideas.
And habit 7 is so critical here. Remember, without checking, it's about active recall.
This goes right back to the empty library idea. We forget an actor's name or a historical fact, and what's the first thing we do?
Pull out the phone.
Instantly. It's a reflex.
And every time we do that, the source says, we train our brain to be lazy. We teach it, don't bother holding on to this information. The external hard drive has it. It's like a muscle you never use. The retrieval pathways just atrophy.
So what's the fix?
The 60-second rule. When you can't remember something, just wait for a full minute, close your eyes, and genuinely dig for the answer, even if it feels uncomfortable.
There's that word again, uncomfortable. It actually feels like a physical strain sometimes, trying to remember something.
That strain is you clearing the path. Imagine your memory is an overgrown jungle. Every time you successfully recall something without help, you're hacking away at the weeds with a machete. Every time you Google it, you're just letting the jungle grow thicker.
I love that image. So you have to walk the neural path to keep it clear.
Exactly. The source mentions a student named Sarah who started doing this. She stopped checking her notes immediately and forced herself to recall the information first. She says she became sharper and much more confident because she actually knew the material, she didn't just know where to find it.
Okay, this next one, habit 14, was really surprising to me. Brainwriting versus brainstorming.
Yes, because in our culture, especially in business, brainstorming is king. Get a bunch of people in a room with a whiteboard, everyone shouts ideas, it's high energy.
But the source calls that process shallow.
Because fast talking favors simple ideas and rewards the loudest or most extroverted person in the room, not necessarily the best idea. The proposed alternative is brainwriting.
How does that work?
Everyone sits in silence and writes down ideas continuously for 7 minutes without stopping. No talking.
7 minutes? That's very specific. Why 7?
Because of the arc of creativity it produces. The source says your first few ideas in the first couple of minutes are always the obvious ones, the low-hanging fruit. Then you hit a wall. Minutes 3 to 5 are painful. Your mind goes blank. You think, I have nothing left. This is where most brainstorms stop.
That's the wall of frustration.
That's the wall. But if you push through that silence, somewhere around minute 6 or 7 is where the truly shocking, innovative idea appears. It comes from a deeper place that you can only access by getting past the obvious and enduring the blankness.
I have to try that. It's going to be so awkward to enforce 7 minutes of silence in a meeting.
It'll be incredibly uncomfortable, which, as we've learned, means it's probably going to work.
Okay, last one in this section, habit 10, change your daily routine.
The enemy here is autopilot. The brain loves autopilot because it saves a ton of energy. Waking up, making the same breakfast, driving the same route to work.
The source calls it sleeping with your eyes open.
It's a scary thought.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've had that experience of driving home and suddenly you're in your driveway and you have zero memory of the last 10 minutes.
Oh, absolutely. It's terrifying.
That's your brain checking out because it can predict the environment perfectly. It says, nothing new here, I'm going into low power mode. The fix is to intentionally break that loop.
We already talked about brushing teeth with the other hand. What else?
Sleep on the other side of the bed. Take a completely different, inefficient route to work. Eat something weird for breakfast. Anything to break the pattern.
Why does something as tiny as sleeping on the other side of the bed make a difference?
Because surprise equals growth. When you wake up and the room is spatially wrong, your brain has to wake up and reorient itself. Wait, the lamp is over there now. The door is on that side. That tiny moment of confusion is a spark. It forces the brain to actively map its environment instead of relying on an old file.
So just keep the brain guessing. Don't let it get complacent.
Never.
All right, segment 5 is about social and intellectual output. It's not enough to just take in information. We have to do something with it.
Which starts with habit 9, talk deeply.
Ah, the death of small talk. How are you? Fine, you. Good. Weather's something, huh?
The source calls that zero-calorie communication. It's just noise. Your brain is on complete autopilot during that exchange. It's a script.
We're just actors reading our lines.
Exactly. To jolt the brain awake in a social context, you need to introduce emotional truth and risk. The suggestion is to start asking uncomfortable, meaningful questions.
Like what?
What's something you're afraid to fail at right now? Or what's a belief you've changed your mind about recently? What do you regret?
Whoa, that's a bold move at a casual dinner party. You might get some strange looks.
You might, but you won't be on autopilot anymore. Neither will they. A question like that forces both brains to stop, access deep memories and emotions, and construct a novel response. It's a high-level cognitive and emotional workout.
So again, the social discomfort is the nutrient. You're moving from a known script into improvisation.
And improvisation requires the brain to be fully present and engaged. Unknown territory is where new maps are made.
And what about the intellectual output? Habit 11, teach what you just learned.
This is often called the Feynman technique. The source has a simple, powerful rule. You don't truly understand something until you can explain it simply to someone else.
It uses a fire metaphor.
Right.
Yes. Knowledge is like a flame. If you don't pass it on, it just goes out.
So if I'm listening to this deep dive right now and just thinking, that's interesting, I'm probably going to forget 90% of it by tomorrow.
Almost guaranteed. Passive listening leaves a very faint neural trace. But if, right after this, you go and explain the brain tree analogy to your partner or tell a friend about the 7-minute brainwriting rule,
You force your brain to organize the information.
you have to find the core of the idea, structure it into a narrative, and find the right words. That act of structuring and explaining is what burns the information into your long-term memory. It moves it from vaguely familiar to deeply understood.
So a call to action for everyone listening. Go teach one of these habits to someone today, even just to your dog.
The dog might not get it, but your brain will thank you. Okay, we've reached our final segment. We have pushed the brain, frozen it, starved it, confused it, and forced it to work hard. Now we have to let it rest. But of course, even the rest has to be intentional and rigorous. Habit 4, sleep in a dark, silent room.
This is what the source calls the cave requirement.
We know sleep is important, but why the obsession with absolute darkness and silence? How much difference can a little blinking light from a charger really make?
It makes all the difference. During the day, your brain is building up metabolic waste toxins and plaques. At night, during deep sleep, a system called the glymphatic system kicks in. It's like a cleanup crew that washes all that junk away.
Okay.
But, and this is the critical part, that cleanup crew only works effectively in the deepest stages of sleep. And the biggest enemy of deep sleep is light.
Any light.
Any light, even the tiny standby light on your TV, or a sliver of street light coming through the blinds. Your brain can perceive light even through your eyelids, and if it does, it stays in a shallow surveillance mode sleep. It never fully shuts down to let the cleaners do their work,
Wow. So 2 people could both get 7 hours of sleep.
but have wildly different results. The person in the pitch-black cave wakes up refreshed, with a clean brain. The person with light pollution wakes up with that familiar brain fog, feeling groggy and irritable because the waste wasn't cleared out.
So the action here is non-negotiable. Blackout curtains, maybe an eye mask, and get the phone and all its blinking lights out of the room entirely.
You have to treat your bedroom like a sanctuary for recovery, a cave. If you're going to put your brain through hell during the day with all these other habits, you absolutely must give it the perfect environment to heal at night.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this all up. We've gone through 16 habits: physical, mental, social.
But there's that one single unifying thread that connects every single one of them.
Which is...
Your brain is not your friend.
That sounds so counterintuitive. We think of our brain as being us.
But from a biological standpoint, your brain's primary job isn't to make you grow or be brilliant. Its job is to keep you alive, using the least amount of energy possible. It wants comfort. It wants safety. It wants to do the same things over and over because it knows they're not dangerous.
It's programmed for survival, and in the ancient world, new and difficult often meant dangerous.
Precisely. But in our safe, modern world, that ancient programming is what leads directly to atrophy and decay. To keep your brain young and alive, you have to actively fight against its deepest instincts. You have to be the warrior that overrides the lazy, comfort-seeking autopilot.
So if we were to boil this entire intense manifesto down to one single sentence, what would it be?
I think it would be this. The only way to keep your brain alive is to constantly chase the things that make you feel uncomfortable, awkward, and challenged.
If you're not struggling, you're rotting.
That's the heart of it right there.
Well, this has been a serious wake-up call. I feel like I need to go, I don't know, take a cold shower and then immediately try to learn calculus with my left hand.
That's a solid plan. Your brain might hate you for it in the moment, but it will be stronger for it tomorrow.
This was about so much more than just a few tips. It really is a whole philosophy, a lifestyle of resistance against the easy path.
A call to arms for your own mind. We hope this has given all of you the tools, maybe the weapons, to fight back.
Keep pushing forward.